What appears to be yet another dominating stance from U.S. President Donald Trump in his recent remark that Iran appears to be standing down after it fired missiles at air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing of General Qasem Soleimani. The tension in the Middle East that has been triggered by the killing of the Iranian commander, however, has not yet shown any significant sign to subside. Good morning, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the top stories of the hour. Government tables controversial bills that challenge constitutional provisions one after another. Lawmakers remain silent on bills that contradict constitutional provisions. Government short of 82 billion rupees to meet its targeted revenue for the first 5 months of the ongoing fiscal year. Decline in imports attributed to the failure. U.S. President Donald Trump says no U.S. or Iraqi lives were lost in the missile attacks by Iran at air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing of General Qasem Soleimani. And Real Madrid storm into the finals of the Spanish Super Cup, defeating Valencia 3-1. The government has recently tabled controversial bills that challenge the constitutional provisions in consecutive manner. Lawmakers have also maintained silence on bills that contradict the existing provision of 1-year imprisonment in criminal cases by the authority, except by featured courts, judicial and judiciary. Based on a sub-article of Article 152 of the Constitution, the featured courts, judicial and judiciary could be formed to finalize special cases. In sub-article 2 of the same article, only normal court, featured courts, military courts, and the judicial body have rights to give sentence of more than 1 year in the criminal cases. This means the semi-judicial mechanism cannot hear the criminal cases that could possibly give jail sentence of more than 1 year. However, the government is tabling the bills comprised of provisions against the Constitution. The Information Technology Tribunal, proposed in the Information Technology Bill, which has already been endorsed by the Development Committee under the Parliament, is semi-judicial body which has authority to give a life sentence term. Likewise, the Media Council Bill has the provision of penalizing 1 million rupees or jail term if failing to pay penalty in breaching the Code of Conduct. The Law Ministry terminated the provisions of 10 million rupees in penalty and life sentence to be comprised in the Media Bill following the protest from the Media Council. The recently tabled bill of the Nepal Special Service has the provision of semi-judicial body that could sentence up to 12 years. Legal experts have opposed the tabled bill that has conflicting provisions with the Constitution. According to the Constitution, the judicial body consists of the independent judiciary under the Judicial Council and recommended by the Judicial Council. The body constituted and operated under the legislative are not featured courts and judicial body. Analysts are of the view that lawmakers should stand above the vested political interest and play a role to amend and correct the bills that have anti-constitutional provisions. We'll take a short break here. We have more news coming up. Welcome back. Tax revenue is one of the main sources for government expenses. However, the government has failed to collect its targeted revenue in the ongoing fiscal year. Based on the latest data, the government is 82 billion rupees short of its targeted revenue in the first 5 months of the current fiscal year. This has affected the government's expense plans. The Nepal government had aimed at collecting 402 billion rupees in tax revenue in the first 4 months of the ongoing fiscal year. However, so far, only 318 billion rupees has been collected. Based on the previous trend, the government collects the highest amount of taxes in the current Nepalese month of Push. However, the government was only able to collect 29 billion rupees so far in the ongoing month. Experts opine the decline in imports of vehicles, petroleum products, and raw materials for steel rods, among others, has hurt the revenue collection. The government has failed to meet its target for custom fees as well, which so far has not even met last year's collection for the same period. The government had collected 66.86 billion rupees in the first 4 months of the last fiscal year. However, the collection for the same period in the ongoing fiscal year stands at 65.58 billion rupees. Likewise, the collection of value-added tax on imported goods has gone down by 6.89%.
हाम्रो चाहिँ आयात हुने वस्तुहरू मुख्य आयातमा आधारित जुन भन्सार राजस्व छ यो राजस्व चाहिँ कमी हुन गयो आयातमै कमी भएपछि स्वाभाविक रूपमा त्यसको प्रभाव राजस्वमा पर्ने हो राजस्वमा भन्सार राजस्वमा प्रभाव परेसँगै यो चाहिँ आयातमा हुने जुन मूल्य अभिवृद्धि कर र अन्तःशुल्कमा पनि त्यसको प्रभाव पर्ने हो फलस्वरूप यसको चाहिँ राजस्व वृद्धिमै त्यसको चाहिँ प्रभाव रह्यो
The revenue from additional fees charged on imported goods have dropped by 8.32%. The government had collected 24.2 billion rupees for additional fees on imported goods in the first 5 months of the previous fiscal year, which stands at 22.19 billion rupees this year. Experts have stated the decline in imports of alcohol products has resulted in the decrease. Likewise, other taxes have also decreased by 52%. The government's revenue target for the current fiscal year was 29%, more than that for the previous year. The government's budget for the current fiscal year 2076-77 is 1.532 trillion rupees, which includes revenue worth 1.112 trillion rupees. However, the collection so far clearly indicates that the government will not be able to meet its target. Meanwhile, the escalating trade deficit has seen some relief due to decreasing imports. There is a call for the government to prioritize industrial revenue over taxes from imports. And it's time now for the international update. U.S. President Donald Trump has said Iran appears to be standing down after it fired missiles at air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing of General Qasem Soleimani. In a televised address from the White House, President Trump said no U.S. or Iraqi lives were lost in the attacks and the bases suffered only minimal damage. The Erbil and Al-Assad bases were attacked early yesterday, local time. Iran said it acted in retaliation after the assassination of top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani last week. The U.S. drone strike targeting him and Iran-backed militia figures in the Iraqi capital Baghdad was a major escalation amid already deteriorating relations between Iran and the U.S. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini described the missile attacks as a slap in the face for the U.S. and called for an end to the American presence in the Middle East. Yesterday evening, at least 2 rockets fell in Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone where the U.S. embassy is located. There were no reports of any damage or casualties. The president has previously threatened military action against Iran if it were to target U.S. personnel and bases, but he did not announce any military action, saying Iran's attack had caused no casualties. The attacks came just hours after the burial of Soleimani, who controlled Iran's proxy forces across the Middle East. It was the most direct assault by Iran on the U.S. since the seizing of the U.S. embassy in Tehran in 1979. It's time for another short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the people in Khotang district how satisfied are they with the performance of the local level. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
मेरो भट्टाम पाकेको छैन केही भएको छैन
सरकार कहाँ आयो हामीलाई थाहा छैन विकास निर्माणका कुराहरू सबै बिहाल भइरहेका छन्
हाम्रो टोलमा खानेपानी र सडकको केही व्यवस्था सुधार भएकोले स्थानीय सरकारसँग धेरै असन्तुष्टि चाहिँ छैन केही सब हदसम्म भएको छ जति हुनुपर्ने त अब सबैको जेटी नहोला
पहिला भन्दा धेरै विकास भइरहेकै छ तर थाहै रूपमा भएन अब एक ठाउँ काम गर्यो अर्को ठाउँ फेरि सर्यो त्यस्तै काम भइरहेको छ राम्रो भएको छैन
विकास निर्माणको कुराहरू चाहिँ अब त्यस्तो सुस्त गतिमा छ त्यति राम्रो कामहरू पनि भएको छैन
And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question. Why did the government fail to meet its revenue target? Your options are A. Unrealistic revenue expectation, B. Decline in imports, and C. Shrunken economic activities. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
Real Madrid have stormed into the finals of the Spanish Super Cup, defeating Valencia 3-1. In the semi-final played at the King's Abdullah Sports City in Saudi Arabia last night, Toni Kroos scored in the 15th minute to give Real a 1-0 lead. Isco doubled Real's lead by scoring in the 39th minute. In the second half, Luka Modric found the net in the 65th minute to give Real Madrid a commanding 3-0 lead. Valencia were given a penalty in injury time after Sergio Ramos handled the ball inside the D-box. Daniel Pereiro made no mistake in converting the spot kick, and Real Madrid secured a 3-1 win over Valencia to advance to the finals. Real Madrid will now clash against the winner of the other semi-final match between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, which will be played early tomorrow morning at 12:45 a.m. Nepal time. The final will be played on Sunday. Defending runners-up Sankata Club are taking on Armed Police Force in today's match under the Martyrs Memorial A-Division League football. The match is scheduled to kick off at 12 noon at the capital's Dashrath Stadium in Tripureshwar. Up to the 5th round of the tournament, Sankata has managed to win only a single match so far, securing 4 points in the league table. Armed Police Force have also secured only 4 points in the tournament. In another match slated for later this afternoon, Tribhuvan Army Club is taking on Saraswati Youth Club that has been exhibiting dismal performance in the current edition of the tournament. Meanwhile, Santosh Sahukala has become the first player in the history of the A-Division League to score 100 goals. Santosh made the historic goal in the match against Nepal Police Club held at the capital's Dashrath Stadium yesterday. Santosh Sahukala scored his debut goal in the A-Division League 16 years ago as he played from Three-Star Club. The same year, Santosh had scored his first career hat-trick against Boys Union. 34-year-old Santosh currently plays for Chasol Youth Club and scored his career's 100th goal in the match against Nepal Police Club. Santosh, who is usually seen in an attacking form in the field, is ironically very shy in real life and takes the historic feat in a normal manner.
100 भयो भने जस नयाँ अब आउने प्लेयरहरुलाई चाहिँ जस अझै राम्रो गरेर यसलाई पनि तोडेर हैन जस उनीहरुको लागि एउटा मोटिभेसन टाइपको हुन सक्छ जस्तो लाग्छ.
Santosh's brother Bal Gopal, who is also the coach for Chasol Youth Club, said it was a memorable moment for him.
Always proud of भाइले गरेको अचिभमेन्ट एकदम प्राउड पल इभन व्हेन उसले जुन डेब्यू गर्दाखेरि म बेन्चमा थिएँ थ्री-स्टारमा डेब्यू फर्स्ट गोल गर्दा सो अलवेज प्राउड किन सन्तोषले के गर्दाखेरि दाइले चाहिँ एकदम प्राउड फिल हुन्छ आफ्नो भाइले के गरिरहेछ भने आज यो 100 गोलको माइलस्टोन हुन्छ अझ एज अ फ्यामिली जस्तो आज फ्लेक्सरले भने चाहिँ फ्यामिली मेम्बरहरु नै हो जस्तो काकाहरु सो इट्स भेरी एकदम एक्साइटिङ मोमेन्ट भनौँ न अब सन्तोषलाई उलाई नभए हामीलाई चाहिँ एकदम एक्साइटिङ.
Santosh, who has been living in Japan for 4 years, now provides football training to children there and says it is his dream to play for the national team again. Meanwhile, as Santosh scored his brace in yesterday's match against Nepal Police Club, the two clubs had to settle for a 2-all draw. And now, before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Government tables controversial bills that challenge constitutional provisions one after another. Lawmakers remain silent on bills that contradict constitutional provisions. Government short of 82 billion rupees to meet its targeted revenue for the first 5 months of the ongoing fiscal year. Decline in imports attributed to the failure. U.S. President Donald Trump says no U.S. or Iraqi lives were lost in the missile attacks by Iran at the air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing of General Qasem Soleimani. And Real Madrid stormed into the finals of the Spanish Super Cup, defeating Valencia 3-1. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.